It's all related. Everything's related. Talos, Talos wasn't part of my plan before, but clearly I have to include him now. Then there's the overseers. They don't want you to believe the overseers aren't a thing, that they don't exist. But clearly the overseers are here, and they have a bigger thing to do with the whole plan. The whole plan's coming together. It's clearly the overseers are involved. Then there's Soon TM. Soon TM. They've been telling us this for years. But did you ever think that there was more meaning behind it? No? Well, that's what I'm here for. Soon TM. Way bigger deal. It's all connected. Everything's connected. But connected to what, you might ask? And that's what I'm here to answer. It's all connected to this. The obelisk. Everything about the obelisk is here. It's they want us to believe it's nothing. They keep showing it in the spotlights, but why do you think they keep showing it in the spotlights? Because clearly there's more going on than just this. What does this even mean? All connected. What's up, guys? It's me, JellyKnees. And Noxus Spotlight came out last week and is actually incredible. She seems like she's going to be insane and probably broken for the most part, at least to start. But she seems like she's going to be a lot of fun. It makes sense why so many UG members want to have her be the character that they play mainly. And so, yeah, let's just kind of break down all of her stuff. In the background, you guys will see all of her abilities going on. So let's kind of just talk about it all. So overall, kind of it starts like normal. We see her, the camera kind of spinning around her, getting a look at her model. Looks great. I would have no complaints about her model at all by any stretch. I do really love the like spinning blue orbs around her arm. I think that's such a cool little design that just goes a long way in like amplifying that kind of like light aesthetic. It's a little weird that they're blue instead of yellow, but whatever. All of her other abilities are yellow, so I guess it's a little thing there, but I still love it nevertheless. So Noxus is going to be in a artillery burst mage. So artillery is damage from afar, which she seems like she's definitely going to have. And then burst is just that they're high damage abilities. So she's going to be damage from afar, but also really high damaging abilities, which is a really cool combination. You don't see that often. Usually burst is tied into up close damage, not distance damage. So it'll be really cool to see there. And of course, she belongs to the Archmage class, which is she will have teleportation sigils that she can place somewhere on the map somehow. We don't really have details on that yet. Hopefully we get them soon. But she can place teleportation sigils and teleport from location to location throughout the game. My guess for how that's going to work is you're going to have to channel a portal down somewhere and channel a portal down where at the other location you want to teleport to, and then be able to travel between the two as you get nearby. I don't know if there's going to be multiple, if you're going to have more than one portal or more than two portals, or if it's limited or what that's going to look like. But the way I see it kind of working out in my head is that you'll go to the duo lane at the beginning of the game, drop a portal up there, drop down to the void lane, because I think that's where she's going to be played mostly. And then put a portal there so that the second you have a rotation time, or a moment to rotate, you're able to go take that portal to the duo lane and help them out as quickly as possible, without having to back and set it up all again there. But let's talk about her first ability. They kind of did the abilities out of order, and it makes a little bit of sense why they did it. It was just kind of off-putting at first. But her first ability is Prismatic Light. So what she's going to do is she's going to channel a beam of light out in front of her that goes a set distance, and that beam is going to do damage the entire length. It's going to be damage per second. So if you're hitting somebody, you're going to take ticks of damage throughout the hold. It's not something that you get hit once and take the full damage from the beam, even if you're not standing it anymore. While she's casting this, she's going to have her movement speed and her turning speed reduced. We didn't really get to see what that looks like in the video, but my guess is it's going to feel very similar to something like Vel'Koz in League of Legends and his ultimate. How there's a beam and he can slowly turn one direction, but he can't just whip around, do a 180 at the same time. That's kind of my guess for what it would be. The interesting thing that was mentioned in the Discord after her spotlight is that this ability, because it goes to set distance, can do damage through walls. So if somebody turns a corner on you and you get prismatic light up, you can just beam it through the wall and hope to kill them with it, which I think is insane. And maybe flat broken in some ways, because in a third-person MOBA, being able to do damage through a wall like that is kind of nuts and is going to be hard to predict as the other person that might get beamed upon. So we'll have to wait and see how that feels. But Noxus's second ability is Imprisoning Radiance. So she places a sigil on the ground, and after a small delay, any targets, any enemies that are inside this sigil will be rooted in place. Fairly straightforward ability. The delay is going to be interesting to see if it's, but that's something they can tweak to make it longer or shorter depending on how strong it is. But really, Imprisoning Radiance is a very straightforward ability and ties more into her third ability as well. So, Lightbound Portal is Noxus's third ability. And this sounds straight broken in a lot of ways. It's essentially a dot for Noxus if you land the right combo with it. So Noxus opens up a small portal, shooting bolts of light in a target direction. That's just the regular basic cast. If you, however, root somebody before you cast Lightbound Portal, the bolts become homing bolts or seeking bolts, and they will hit whoever is rooted guaranteed. They can't dodge it. That is a very large buff in and of itself just for the person being rooted. Then, if you root multiple people, so let's say I root 2 myths in my Imprisoning Radiance, the Lightbound Portal shoots bolts at both of those myths, and they're both homing. So I not only am applying my dot to one person that can't miss, I'm applying a ranged dot to 2 people that can't miss. And in theory, that just goes upwards and upwards. They didn't specify, I don't think, that the Imprisoning Radiance Lightbound Portal combo only works on myths. It might be able to work on minions as well. So if you trap a minion wave in your Imprisoning Radiance and cast Lightbound Portal, you could wave clear that minion wave really effectively. So there's a lot of potential with this ability to be very, very strong. And we're going to have to see how casting works. Can I drop my Imprisoning Radiance on one side of a wall, root somebody, and open my Lightbound Portal on the other side, and will the bolts travel through? And the big thing with the bolts, though, is that when they connect with a target, they reduce that target's magic resist. So now you've got a root into Lightbound Portal that reduces their magic resist, and then you have your beam of light that you can just cast, and they'll take extra damage from that, in addition to her other abilities that we haven't even talked about yet. So the combos are already starting to form in that regard and have a lot of potential. Her ultimate is Solarium Ultimus, kind of a large, very reminiscent of the Gideon Rock. Large meteor drops from the sky. It stuns enemies that are in the center of the ability, and then slows and deals slightly reduced damage to those on the outer edge of the ability. Which, of the fact that her ultimate is going to be what looks to be a high damage ability with CC is also nuts. Because the chain ability of her stuff, of her kit, seems insane. I land my ultimate. Great, I stunned you. Now I am Imprisoning Radiance. Now I Lightbound Portal. Now I beam. And then we get into her passive and right click for her special ability. So Noxus, her passive is Soul of Light. Essentially, it's acting as a resurrection tool if she runs out of health. If you think of Greystone in Paragon, very, very similar. So when she dies, Noxus is invulnerable for 3 seconds, gaining health back, and she actually deals an AoE around her. It deals damage in AoE around her, and the health that she gets back and the damage she deals is based on how much damage she dealt prior to dying. Now, there is a cap for both of these, so she can't just go endlessly. It's not like she's going to respawn with full health because she did that much damage beforehand. But the fact that she's got a res and it does damage while she's like waiting to be rezzed is kind of insane in conjunction with her other stuff. Granted, she can't cast or move while she's being revived, but still, the fact that she could scare people off of her had she accumulated enough damage and then come back with her abilities to start Imprisoning Radiance or ult or whatever it may be, opens up a lot of doors for her. And the biggest one of all of this is her special ability, Convergence. So Noxus, when she casts Convergence, will have decreased mana costs, which is nuts for a bursty, long-range caster. And her abilities, when she casts her abilities, they reduce the cooldown of her other abilities. So she may be able to get some really crazy combo going where she can cast 1 or 2 abilities twice in the combo, that she starts with them and then ends with them again. and it could be absolutely insane the amount of damage that she could put out there. So really, really curious to see how that works. But the kind of downside to her right click, and I honestly think that this downside is probably not big enough, is that she's going to have lowered move speed during convergence, and at the end, she'll be silenced. So very similar to Dante in that regard, that afterwards there's a silence applied. But to me, if you have that much burst already in your kit, and then you're giving me a decreased mana cost and lower cooldown version of my kit as my special ability, that silence is going to need to be really hefty, and that lowered move speed needs to basically be almost a root. Because if I can even slightly dodge other skills while I'm just standing there just popping off on people, I think that that's probably too strong and definitely needs a bigger downside. We've talked about it a bit already, but her combos and abilities, just the way that they're going to interconnect and work with each other, just seem absolutely bonkers. That the fact that she also has the roaming potential. Yes, she's going to have lowered move speed when she casts her abilities, but she's an archmage, so she's going to have those teleportation sigils to use around the map to help her rotations. So while she typically wouldn't be a roaming mid laner, if you had a conventional lane structure with those portals, she can roam probably pretty effectively. So now you've got a burst artillery mage that can also roam, and that's insane. She can rotate to either of the wyverns. She can go to Atropos. She can go to the obelisk, whatever that does. Um, and just all of these things. She's got a lot of really strong things in her kit where she might be overloaded and something will have to change. The other thing is that, and Mangoose kind of mentioned this a little bit to me yesterday, is that balance on her could be really interesting in that if you buff one of her abilities or nerf one of her abilities, you could be buffing or nerfing her others as well with it. Just indirectly. That if she is oppressive, right, and they lower her Lightbound portal that she has to land it on two people for it to become homing, right? That makes her imprisoning radiance less valuable most of the time because she needs to save it to use on only two people to make her Lightbound portal as good. So it's a give and take that's going to be really interesting for the balance team when it comes to Noxus as a whole. And not to mention that the mage items, the magic items in the game seem absolutely insane already. So when you combo a insane myth and her kit, in addition to the insane items that you're going to have in the game, there's a huge potential that Noxus could be like the best person in the game at launch, and will need some serious balance to bring her in line with everybody else. But that's something we'll have to keep an eye on for sure, and I know that the dev team is going to keep an eye on that as well. But let's talk about her back animation and her skin. I did see in another video that someone was talking about where her hitbox is during her back animation, which was very interesting in that because she floats so high above the ground, how is that going to work? And so UG, if you're watching, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear how that's going to work and what is involved with her animation being that high off of the ground and where her hitbox would be. But they also showed her Darkstone skin. Looks incredible. Super happy with that skin. I don't know that I'd use it over the base skin, but I also wouldn't say that I'd use the base skin over it either. I think it's one of those that if I owned that skin, I'd kind of like alternate between the two because I just like them both very, very much. But overall, I really enjoyed Noxus's spotlight. Her stuff looks insane. She looks like she's going to be very, very strong. Balancing her is going to be a nightmare, I'm sure. So good luck to UG on that. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. The only thing I can say about Noxus's spotlight is that there's so many wipe transitions that it just drives me nuts as a video editor, that the wipe transitions just get to me. So please lower the amount of wipe transitions you guys use, UG. But otherwise, guys, that's going to call it for me. I appreciate you all very much for hanging out and being here. If you want to see more Ethereal content, we'll have a full playlist for you right over there. If you want to see something just for you, right over on the other side, and click above me, hit the icon, get subscribed, turn the bell on, and I'll see you guys in the next one.